Good morning, Year 1. Today is Monday, the 18th of January 2020, and this is our first English lesson of the week. Got a slightly different setup this week, hopefully with a more reliable whiteboard that hopefully you'll be able to see a bit more clearly. Now we know another week means another story, and this week we're going to be reading a fairy tale called Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is read the story, and I would like you to listen carefully. Once upon a time there was a poor widow who had one son, and his name was Jack. Jack was no help to his mother because he was lazy and only wanted to lie in front of the fire all day. "You never do anything," she always said to him, "and when you do, you never do it right." They had no money at all, and the only thing they had was their old cow. One day, Jack's mother said, "Jack, take the old cow to the market and sell her for the highest price you can get." It was a long walk to the market, and Jack didn't want to go. But he had no choice. He tied a rope around the old cow's neck and set off as slowly as he could. He hadn't gone very far when he met a man. "That's a stringy old thing of a cow," the man said. "Where are you taking her?" "To market, to sell her," said Jack. "You won't get much for that old thing," said the man. "How much are you asking for her?" "How much are you offering?" asked Jack. The man put his hand in his pocket and pulled something out. "5 beans, and you won't get any more for that old creature at market." "That may be," said Jack, "but my mother will be furious if I go home with nothing but 5 beans. Even 5 pennies would be better." "But these are magic beans," said the man. "They will make your fortune." "Done," said Jack, because he really couldn't be bothered to walk all the way to the market. So the man gave him the 5 beans, and Jack gave the man the cow, and then went home. "Back already?" said his mother. "What did you get for the cow?" Jack took the beans from his pocket and showed them to his mother. "Beans?" she said. "5 beans? Why, you useless great lump!" She threw the beans out of the window. Then she sent Jack to bed. He didn't even get a chance to explain that the beans were magic and would make their fortune. When Jack woke up the next morning, the house was dark, as if it was still night. Something was blocking the window. Jack ran outside and saw a huge beanstalk that grew up and up until it disappeared into the clouds. They were magic beans, Jack said to himself. "I wonder what's up there." He started to climb the beanstalk to find out what was at the top. Jack climbed up and up and up all the way to the top. There he found a path leading through the clouds to a great big castle. Jack knocked on the door. A huge woman opened it. She looked surprised to see him. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Don't you know that a giant lives here? A giant who eats boys?" Jack said, "But I've only climbed so high and walked so far. I'm hungry, thirsty too." "Come in," said the woman. "But you mustn't stay long." Inside the castle, Jack and the woman got talking. All too soon, noisy footsteps were coming up the path. "It's my husband, the giant," said the woman. "Quick, hide." Jack jumped into an empty pot by the stove and pulled down the lid. The door opened and in came the giant. He sniffed the air and said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "How you go on," said the giant's wife. "There's no one here. Now sit down and eat your dinner." So the giant sat down and ate his dinner. Then he took out a grubby-looking purse, opened it, and tipped it out upside down. Out fell a great heap of gold. The giant closed the purse, opened it again, and it was filled with gold once more. Jack was peeping out of his pot and saw. "If my mother and I had that purse," he thought, "we'd never be poor again." He made up his mind that he was going to take that purse home with him, come what may. He watched and waited until the giant went over to his chair in front of the fire, kicked off his boots and went to sleep. Then Jack crept out of the pot, grabbed the purse and ran for his life. Out of the castle he ran, along the path, down the beanstalk and into his house, shouting, "Mother, mother, look!" Jack's mother was amazed that her lazy son had been so brave. She looked at the purse and she said, "We shall never be poor again. Promise me that you won't climb that beanstalk any more. It's dangerous." Jack promised he wouldn't. With the money that purse gave them, they were much happier than before, but Jack couldn't forget the castle. One day, while his mother was out, he climbed the beanstalk again. When Jack knocked on the castle door, the giant's wife opened it and said, "You again? If the giant finds you here, well, he'll eat you raw." "Oh, I'll be long gone before he gets back," Jack said. "But I must have a sit down and something to eat and drink. I've come such a long way." The kind woman took him in. Jack wanted to stay until the giant came home, so he got her talking until she forgot all about the time passing. Then they heard the giant coming home. Jack opened the cupboard under the sink and crawled inside. In came the giant, sniffing the air. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll have his blood to sauce my bread." "Oh, don't go on," said the giant's wife. "There's no one here. Eat your food, you big lump." So the giant sat down to his dinner. When he'd finished, he brought out a beautiful red hen. He stroked her feathers gently, and the hen laid eggs for him. Not ordinary eggs, but eggs of beautiful, shining gold. Jack waited until the giant had fallen asleep by the fire. Then he crept out of the cupboard, grabbed the hen and ran for his life. Out of the castle, along the path, down the beanstalk and into his house he ran, shouting, "Mother, look!" When Jack's mother saw the hen and the eggs, she could hardly believe her eyes. She made him promise never to climb the beanstalk again. Jack promised. With all the gold from the purse and the golden eggs from the hen, they were rich, but Jack couldn't forget the castle. He climbed the beanstalk again. When the giant's wife opened the door and saw who it was, she said, "Go away, I dare not let you in." But she was a kind woman, and Jack persuaded her to let him in after all. They got talking, and the giant's wife soon forgot all about the time, until she heard her husband coming home. Jack crawled under the wash tub and hid. In came the giant, sniffing the air. Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Oh, get away with you, said his wife. Sit down and have your dinner. When the wife had eaten his dinner, he fetched a beautiful golden harp. Play harp, he said, and the harp played beautiful music all by itself. Jack waited until the giant fell asleep, crept out, grabbed the harp, and ran for his life. But as he ran, the harp cried out, Master, master! The giant woke up, jumped to his feet, and ran after Jack with great big strides. Jack reached the beanstalk first and started climbing down as fast as he could, but the giant reached the beanstalk too and began climbing down after Jack. Jack reached the ground first, dropped the harp, and snatched up an axe his mother used to chop wood. He began to chop down the beanstalk. He chopped and chopped and chopped, and at last he chopped right through. Down came the beanstalk, and down came the giant, with a crash. The giant landed on his head, and that was the end of him. So Jack and his mother had the purse of gold, and the hen that laid golden eggs, and the harp that played all by itself, and they lived happily in comfort all the rest of their lives. And that is the end of the story. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Now I'm going to tell you what you are going to be doing for the rest of your English lesson today. You might have seen on the website I've put a worksheet on there for today, and you are going to be sequencing the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. So looking at the pictures and deciding what happened first, what happened second, third, fourth and fifth or last in the story. If you're unable to print that for any reason, you can just draw the pictures to sequence the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. That's absolutely fine. I'm just going to bring you in a little bit closer so you can have a look at the whiteboard. Okay, and we'll just quickly talk about what is happening in all of these pictures and what they are representing. So in this one here, we've got Jack chopping down the beanstalk, and the giant is about to come crashing down. This one here, we've got Jack climbing the beanstalk, looking back at his house. This one here, we've got Jack taking his cow to the market and bumping into the man on the way who gives him the magic beans. This one, we've got Jack and his mum looking at the beanstalk outside the window. Mum's pointing to the beanstalk, and they're obviously a bit worried about why it's there and what's happened. And this one here, we've got Jack running away from the giant with the magic harp. Okay, so there are our 5 pictures that we need to put in order. Okay, so that's the first thing I would like you to do. Either sequence these pictures if you've managed to print them off, or draw the pictures, just 5 pictures, to retell the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay? So, what do we think goes first then? Did Jack run away with the harp? No, that's right. Good job, guys. Did he climb the beanstalk? Is that what happened first? No, you're right. Did he chop down the beanstalk? No. What about this one? Did he take his cow to the farmer's market? Yes, that's right. So this would be our first picture in our story sequence. Okay, your job is to order the rest of these pictures, okay, to retell the story. Now, after you've ordered these pictures, I would like you to write 1 key word for each of the pictures. Okay, so you might have a look at the picture and see what's going on, to see what you might write. So your key word for this picture might be cow, because Jack is taking his cow to the market. Your keyword might be market. Your keyword might be beans or magic. Okay, that's up for you to decide what you would like your keyword to be. So something from the picture or a word that you think of when you see the picture at this part of the story. Now I'm going to write for this one, I think, cow. I'm going to sound this out. K, ow, cow. Okay. So sequence the story, sequence the pictures and put one keyword underneath each of the pictures. If you're working on this worksheet here, you will see there's a little dotted line. You can just pop your word on there. Okay, well, I really look forward to seeing your retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk by sequencing. And if you have any questions or anything, just give me a message and I'll be more than happy to help. Have a lovely day, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.